so much once again. As usual, Pune Tech community never disappoints to bring the best for the audience, be it in terms of Azure or AI or Copilot. It makes sure that you, as in community, stay up to date with whatever is going around in Microsoft technology. I'm happy to be part of this community and contributing today in terms of what is AI and more general, what is Azure OpenAI and how you can use Azure AI Studio. So before we kickstart, once again, thank you so much, the organizers of Pune Tech Community, including Nandeep, Siddharth, Kunj, Smita, everyone. And thank you, audience, for staying with us over weekend and listening to us. If you have any questions, I will take that up at the end. So without a further ado, I'll quickly start. Okay. So today's topic, you all know, right? I'm going to talk about Azure AI Studio, but it is going to be a overall package for you, wherein it is not just about the models it offers. It is more in terms of what Azure AI Studio as a service has to offer, in terms of what are the different models, what is benchmark, what is the AI hub or project hub. In terms of when we talk about Azure AI Studio, there are multiple things which you have to look at whenever you start. Go ahead and create your AI models and deploy it. We are going to talk about it in detail. Before that, a quick short introduction about myself. I am Shrushti Shah and I work as a consultant and subject matter expert at Rapid Circle. I am also a Microsoft MVP, and you can find me speaking at various conferences across the globe. And I'm also a Microsoft certified professional. So I have almost close to 7 years of work experience uh, working majorly on Microsoft technology, including Microsoft 365, Power Platform, Azure, Cloud, etc. So quickly, I'll walk you through the agenda. So as you can see, the agenda is totally packed. I'll make sure that you get to understand each and every intricate details about Azure AI Studio in terms of what is Azure AI Studio, how you can go ahead and access it if you want to. We all are talking about AI Studio, either it is OpenAI, the models it has to offer, etc. But how, as a developer, you can go ahead, how it will be useful for you, right? Either you are a developer, machine learning enthusiast, or data scientist. You can be anything, or data engineer. What is AI Hub and what are the AI projects? Probably this is something we are not usually used to hear. And a small case study, which is using OpenAI Assistant. This is recently released. It is in preview as of now, but we'll check on what is OpenAI Assistant, the case study about how you can go ahead and create Azure OpenAI Assistant, how it will be helpful, and what is model catalog. We have a lot of models in terms of GPT 3.5, its variants like 3.5, 4, DALI, embeddings, etc. Even there are a few small language models like C and models from other sources like Hugging Face, Meta, etc. What is model benchmark? How important it is to know about content filtering because that is the utmost important case. Demonstration, which is I'll keep on juggling between the slides and probably, if possible, I'll cover the slides and then I'll go to the Azure AI Studio and a small did you know fact and Q&A and closing. Let's kickstart. I'm sure you all must have seen this, screen if you have access to Azure and if you have access to AI Studio. If not, then you don't have to worry. I'm going to go through the demonstration, live demonstration, where you can go ahead and check out how the AI Studio looks like. This is the screenshot which I've captured. This is the AI Studio, wherein you can see the few of the capabilities like build your own copilot, incorporates multimodality, and Azure AI SDK. Now, these three sections explicitly are divided. Why? Because you can go ahead and start creating your own copilot. But if I already have a model and I want to integrate to the web application or any third party application, how I can go ahead and do that? You can go ahead and use AI SDK or endpoints. This is how you will be able to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, you can find samples available as well. So we'll talk about this like Azure AI Studio, the interface in detail. Coming next, right now I'm going to start from scratch, like what exactly is Azure AI Studio. Now when I talk about AI Studio, it is a home kind of for all your Azure AI services. And when I say Azure AI service, it includes all your AI services. Either it can be language processing or vision or all the AI, it comprises of all. So you can just get it that it is a home, and you can use or consume or create all your AI services in it. And this is right now in public preview. And the preview, it is in public preview, hence it is not recommended that you use production workloads. But once it is generally available, you can go ahead and use it. Now you can ask me that, hey, where is this Azure AI Studio available? Is this applicable for all regions or no? It is available for most of the AI regions, and there are a few regions, probably some exceptional cases, which Microsoft has given a good documentation on the region availability. You can go ahead and check that. So I've added that as a reference. But as of now, it is available in most of the regions. Next, now that we know that, hey, this is the home and it will comprise, I can go ahead and start creating resources or customizing my models in AI Studio. How I can access it? Is this some separate license, etc.? So Azure AI Studio, if you want to explore, you can go ahead and start exploring, but it just requires one more thing. It needs Azure OpenAI license or access. And you can get the access by just filling out the form. And once they accept your request, then they'll send out a follow-up email saying that Azure OpenAI is added as part of a subscription. Once that is done, you are good to go and start creating Azure OpenAI resources. Now, important part: how you, me, or anyone can get benefit from this AI Studio. First thing, it helps you to build generative AI applications. And in terms of generative AI applications, it has all your models, which are GPT models, which is from Microsoft, and also the other uh, models which are provided by other services or other companies like Meta, Hugging Face, and few more. We'll see in the AI Studio after this slide. Next, you can directly from the studio you can interact. So as I mentioned, if your application which is hosted on Azure, which is a third party application, or any application probably that is a web app, and now you want to go ahead and start using this model in your application as well. How you can do that? You can use this via Azure AI SDK. And this SDK you just have to install. Probably those who are from coding background, they know how to, you can go ahead and leverage this SDK, add it, install it into your solution, and start leveraging all the properties, functions which are part of the SDK. And then you can integrate that model, whichever you created, just pass the endpoint key, etc., and you're good to use that in your application. Next, Azure AI Studio is a trusted and inclusive platform. It empowers developers of all abilities and preferences to innovate with AI and shape the future. So we all know that we have to create an environment which is inclusive, irrespective of who we are, where we come from, right? That is what AI Studio is offering. It is a trusted platform, definitely, because it is underlined with security provided by Microsoft. And it is also an inclusive platform where, irrespective of who you are, where you're coming from, you can develop on top of it. You can also integrate, like seamlessly, you can build the models. Just like it is not about using the existing models. You can build, test, and deploy right from the studio as well. And you can see all the different type of ML models which are grounded with some data. You can add your own data as well. And you will see that there are few responsible AI practices which you have to follow when you give the training data, but there is some responsible AI practices uh, which are used while creating or when you're using Azure AI Studio. Another important aspect here is build it together as one team. So let's say I'm working on one project which is working on a model, probably let's say diabetic patient information. Now that model which I've created, we are working together as a team where there will be a data scientist, data engineer, machine learning team, or etc. Right? So now you want all of them to be part of the model, right? How you can do that? This teamwork can be possible in AI Studio, and that is part of AI Hub and AI project, which we'll see right after the screen. So let me just go ahead and navigate you to the Azure AI Studio. To navigate to the Azure AI Studio, what we have to do is I'll quickly go to portal.azure.com. This is my Azure, and I have to go to the resource, which is Azure OpenAI resource. So I just have to search Azure OpenAI. Once you get access to Azure OpenAI, you have to create Azure OpenAI resource. So I already have created few. You just hit create. I just exhausted my quota, which is the subscription limit. Hence, it is disabled right now. I can't create. I'll use the existing one. But if you are using or coming for the first time, if you got the access to OpenAI, just create a new Azure OpenAI. All you have to do is create a new Azure resource group or use the existing resource group where this service will reside. Once you are done, you can select one region. Ideally, select US region. I am not sure whether Azure OpenAI is available for across regions or not, but mostly it should be now. But I have typically used US region. Name your Azure OpenAI um, your service. Once it is done, you will get pricing tier. Just select the pricing tier. Once it is done, just click on next, hit create. It will create an resource for you. Come back to the section. I've already created few resources. I'll go to the created resource. This is the Azure OpenAI resource of residing in one of my resource group. As you can see in the overview section, firstly, let's just see what this resource has. This resource is of kind OpenAI, the pricing tier is standard. There are endpoints and keys which are available for me, and this is residing in a subscription and within one resource group. And if I want to see my endpoint and those details, I'll have to go to the keys and endpoint section where I can see it. Now, scroll down and you will see different things. One is monitor your Azure OpenAI usage, wherein this is kind of a metric where you can see where and how your Azure OpenAI is getting consumed. If you want to develop on top of like consume this Azure OpenAI service, then you can just go ahead and start developing. There is a sample code which is given. We are going to look at Azure OpenAI Studio and AI Studio. Now, these are the two different things. You will ask me, hey, why there are two studios? While I just mentioned that Azure AI Studio is the home for all AI services. What Microsoft did is it just started creating the studio with Azure OpenAI. Now, if I go to Azure OpenAI Studio, here I'm going to see all the Azure OpenAI models, which are just created purely by Microsoft. No Hugging Face or no other services, no other models which are created by other companies. Those are not part of it right now. So this, you can see, this is the Azure OpenAI Studio, where I have few of the models, like few of the assistants. You can bring your own data. You can do chat, or you can complete, or DALI. These are the some of the services which the models provide. Now, how I can go ahead and see the models? For that, you have to go to the deployments. Whenever you create, whenever you go to the Azure OpenAI Studio, you have to create a deployment. Now, what is a deployment? Deployment is something which is intact to your service. If I go ahead and create a deployment, this is where you are selecting a model and what that model is going to do. So if I just hit this, you will see all the different type of models. So now, as you can see, these are only the Microsoft large language models which Azure OpenAI Service is providing like DALI, GPT, different variants of 3.5, 35, GPT-4, different variants, and text embedding. These are the only models which Azure OpenAI Studio is providing as of now. Now, let's say I just want to create a model which is going to generate images and it is going to work purely with images. What you can do is you just can go ahead and create a deployment with model DALI 3. Once you are done, just choose a model version. So there are different model version for each model. So this is something similar to, which version you want to use. You can just select any one or keep default. I'll just select. Now, what is the deployment type? Either it is standard or different one. You just select standard, give a deployment name. Either mostly you give the deployment name similar to your deployment model, which is DALI 3, so that you can identify that, hey, this deployment is created for DALI 3. This deployment was created for GPT 35, GPT 35 instruct, etc. And how much capacity units you want to consume for this model based on the project which you're working on and based on the model usage. You just give capacity units and also enable dynamic quota. Once you are done, hit create, your deployment will be created. Once your deployment is created, then you can go ahead and start playing in the playground. This is the playground. Now, this is the overview. I'm not going in the playground right now because I have few more things to cover. Then I'll come to the playground. This is Azure OpenAI Studio, wherein you will just be able to see the large language models provided by Microsoft. Once you are done with this is it. Now, what difference Azure AI Studio is offering, irrespective of, like, instead of Azure Open AI Studio. Let me just go to the resource again. And now I'm going to click on AI Studio. Now let's see the difference it has to offer. So this is my AI Studio, and it is totally different. It is not just giving me the options of LLMs, which are created by Microsoft or trained by Microsoft, the models. Here, I can do a lot of more things. There is a new section now to create your custom assistants. Apart from that, as I already showcased, you can create your own copilot with your own data, and you can also integrate your uh, AI services in terms of in any of the application using AI SDK. This is the home page wherein you'll see your recent projects, the cutting edge models, and there is a model catalog, the responsible AI principles, and more tools and services which you might require. And there are different information go to links as well, like Azure AI SDK, Machine Learning Studio, language, all the different AI services which are part of it. Once you go ahead and use come to the AI Studio, you will see different things here. As soon as I clicked on all Azure AI, so now you know why I'm telling that this is hub, because you see it is the home for all the different type of AI services. Like OpenAI is part of AI Studio, language is part of AI Studio, speech, vision, custom, document intelligence, everything is part of AI Studio. While OpenAI Studio just has large language models. You got it? Next, different things. This is the directory, in which directory you're working on. Now in the home page, you can just see this much. Now let's say I want to go ahead and start creating it. How I can do that? All you have to do is you just have to create a hub. So as you can see, there is a project and the hub. I'll come to it when I come to that slide so that you will understand better. Once you create that project, if I go to that project, then you will see similar interface which we were able to see it in the Azure OpenAI. You see the playground, there are deployments, data. This is similar to what Azure OpenAI has to offer. The only difference is Explore. If I go to the Explore, you will see models from various companies. So just like it is, I just click on filters and you will see all the different offerings like Hugging Face, Microsoft, Cohere, Databricks, Snowflake, NVIDIA. The models created from all these, you will find it here. It is not just restricted to, if I just click on Azure OpenAI, these were the things which we were able to see in Azure OpenAI Studio. So this is the difference between OpenAI Studio and Azure AI Studio. Coming back to the slides. So now you have got the brief understanding of what is AI Studio and what features it has to offer. Coming to the another important aspect, which is important when you when you go ahead and start using Azure AI Studio, this is AI Hub and AI projects. So as you can see from the architecture, like AI Studio is a unified experience for AI developers and data scientists, where they can go ahead and build, evaluate, and deploy those AI models either through the web portal. Web portal is your studio, or through SDK, or through the CLI, which is command line interface. Now it's built on the capabilities and services which are provided by Azure services. Definitely, it is not out of your Azure thing. It is part of Azure services. And the top level AI Studio resource is called as AI Hub and AI projects. And the other resources such as Azure OpenAI, services, search are used by the AI Hub and AI project. So when we talked about the AI services, it are used by AI Hub and AI project. And how we differentiate AI Hub and AI project? This is the architecture wherein you see the AI Hub. This is the AI Hub, and AI project is one part of the AI Hub. Even from the description, you can find that AI Hub is the top level resource, which is part of the Azure AI Studio, and AI Project is child resource of AI Hub. Now, when we talk about AI Hub, what features it has to offer? The data upload, artifact storage. The hub is scoped with Azure services such as OpenAI services, AI services, and Azure AI Search. And it also offers you the endpoints of the different services, and you can also compute the resource, the security and governance. All these are the features of AI Hub. While if you go to the project, which is the child of AI Hub, the features slightly deviate because that has to deal with the models. This is where you're going to start creating the models, add data for your models, and then definitely if you use search, indexing will also be part of it. And this is an isolated data container within the storage inherited from AI Hub. As you can see, this is the project and this is part of the hub. It is an isolated container of part of it. And this is project scope. And you can also collaborate with team, which we are going to go ahead and see it. Now let's go ahead and see the AI Hub. I'll go to the home. I'll click on my AI Hub. I'll go to the hubs. So this is my AI Hub, wherein there is a section for hub and the quota allocated to that hub. if I go ahead and start creating a new hub, what all details I have to provide. So while creating the hub, you see a hub is the collaboration environment for your team to share your project work, the model deployments, compute, connections, and security settings. So if you have some prerequisite about machine learning, when you go ahead and start creating compute, and you'd allocate the data sets for each compute, you give some quota, etc. You give some data. If you are aware about some prerequisites, then maybe you can relate it well, because this is similar to what we do in machine learning. We create computes, there are deployment, there are model endpoints, and you start building prompt flows, etc. So this is the hub wherein you give some name for it. Let's just give any name, demo. You provide a subscription. I just provide my subscription. Once you are done providing it, if you have an existing resource group, provide that. Just tag it with the same location. Which resource you want to connect it to. Like if you want to connect to which Azure OpenAI resource, just select the existing resource. And if that already has the search, if not, then you can skip. Once you are done, it will just once create on next and then create it. This is what hub is. So I'll go to my existing hub. If you see, this is the hub name, the resource group, the region, in which subscription it is created. I'll just click on it to give the more details. It has some information like permissions, compute instances, connected resources, policies, and billing. These are the more details of the hub. Also, you can see the resource configuration, just like what we saw. Whenever we created the hub, we provided all this information. The permissioning, who all have access to this hub, and the connected resource. So definitely the hub will be connected to some project. So this is the project which I have created inside the hub, and some description to it, and some other blob storage information, some connected resources which we provided as part of creating the hub. Now going to the permissions, you will be able to see who all have access to the hub. If you want to provide access to a new member, you can just quickly go ahead and add that user as well. And you can assign the role to that user, whether he's the owner, contributor, reader, or developer. Once you are done, you can also go ahead and start creating the compute instances for the hub, so that whenever you create the project inside the hub, you will be able to consume that compute instances. Right now, I haven't created any connected resources. So all the resources which are connected to the hub, these are the connected resources. These are the blob storages. Policies, you can apply policy to this resource hub level as well. You can create new policies, just like how we create policies in Azure, subscription level, resource level, you can create it here as well. Billing, so how much cost or consumption this resource is taking, that you can analyze from here. I'll go back to the details section, and now inside the hub, I'll go to the project. So this is my project. Project has a different interface. In the project, you will be able to see the project members and how the roles of each project member, what role they are performing. This is where I was talking about team collaboration. You can go ahead and start using this project in your Visual Studio Code as well, where your team can collaborate together and you have your code up to date, right? This is where you can integrate it. In AI project, you will be able to see more detailed level of the project in terms of what data that model is using or what is the deployment of that model. If I go to the deployments, I've created one small language model fee deployment, but right now I won't be able to see it because my subscription is disabled due to the overconsumption of resources or the cost. But I have created one deployment model of C3, which is just recently released. Once you are done, once you create a deployment, this is also similar to what we did in Azure OpenAI. Just create a real-time deployment endpoint model or pay as you go. Just hit on any one of them and you will find the collections of all the models. You can just search or filter it based on your requirement, like for which reason you are creating the deployment. Either it should be of Microsoft. If Microsoft, what is your reason? Like generating text or image or summarization, just select anything. I will just select text generation and you will find all the different models. Once you go ahead and pick any of the model, just confirm and it will start giving you one screen where you have to fill out the information and it will just create the deploy. Once you are done, your deployment will sit under here and you can go ahead and start playing with it. Playing in terms of, you can just play it in the playground. If I go to the playground, just select your deployment and from here select your deployment and start playing in terms of you can add your own data or if you just want to interact live, just like all our GPT models, wherein you just want to get the information without taking our own data, you can do that, all of those things from this playground. Once you are done if doing that, you can also evaluate based on the performance. Evaluation means how well your AI model which you are using is performing. So how you can do that? There is a performance, checker, wherein we compare the models and we see how well that model is performing in terms of accuracy. You can do that over here. You can go ahead and start building prompt flows, and you can also fine tune your model. These all things you can do on top of your model which you have deployed, and you can also add your own data. Here is the data which I've given. I've just given the sample data which is uploaded from file. If you already have Azure AI search service, you can index your data as well. And at most important thing, you can also add filters. We look at all the different jargons which I'm speaking right now, like what is content filters, what different type of, if I want to create a custom content filter, how I can go ahead and do that, or how I can consume the already created content filter, and how I can compare different models in terms of accuracy. Next is project settings. This is the page where you can find the information about the project, just resource information, connected resources, computes if you have created, prompt flow if you have created, the project team details, etc., and the cost. Similar to what we see in AI Hub. So this is the overall AI Hub and AI project description which I wanted to give. Coming next, I hope now you're clear with the two different setup, like what is AI Hub and what is AI Project, and what are different offerings, what you can do in AI Project, how you can go ahead and create the models and deploy it. I'll take the simple example, which is the latest one. I'm not going to create something on top of chat completion DALI because we already have seen a lot of things around it. Azure OpenAI Assistant, this is new and this is in preview. Now let me just take a quick example where you can go ahead and verify as well. I'll go to Azure OpenAI Studio for that because I don't have sufficient resources. I'll go to the Azure OpenAI Studio and I have already created multiple deployments. So I'll pick one, okay? This one, GPT-35 Turbo, 16K. And you see, for this deployment model, let me go to the assistants. What you have to do is, what models does is you can tag that model. So let's say I'm using GPT-35. Now what GPT-35 can do, it can be used for chat or completions or embeddings, assume, okay? If I use DALI 3, I can't use it for chat and completion. I can only use to generate images. So each model is tagged with some specific scenario which you can perform, the feasibility of that model. So that is why we create deployments which is tagged to a model, and that model can perform some things. As I have already created 35K GPT-35 Turbo, it can do chat, it can perform chat operations, it can summarize my text, I can also generate images, and I can also create assistance. And assistance is kind of, it can help you in writing code or mathematical operations, etc. So let me just quickly give, a name to my assistant. I will say Azure Pune Bootcamp. And what you have to do is you have to provide some instructions that, hey, what instructions do you want this assistant to perform? Perform simple mathematical operation. So now this assistant is only will be only used to perform mathematical operation, and those that too I've mentioned simple mathematical operation. Now which deployment this will be tagged to? Definitely I'll have to tag it to this deployment. Once this is done, code interpreter you can just tag it on or not. If you have some functions files, you can provide that as well. I'll just keep it very simple. I'll save this. Oh, I can't save it, unfortunately. Oh God. But as soon as you save, if I just start giving the prompt that, hey, perform some mathematical operation, then it will 100% perform. That is how I've created this. You just go back. This I've created one for you so that you can go ahead and start doing it yourself as well once you get access to it. So what I did is I gave the name to the assistant. This is the math assistant, the instruction, the deployment name, code interpreter. Once you are done, just give the prompt like, can you just perform 11 into 11 for me? That's the simplest prompt, right? It can give it will give back the result because we have asked the assistant to perform the mathematical operation. Let's say if I give some critical or some more complex, prompt like what is 3x plus 14? 3x plus 14 equal to. And that x variable, you know, that mathematical equations which we used to solve. So those things you can just ask. You can create assistant using anything. I'm just giving example of math, but you can take any of the example. Once you start giving the prompt, it will respond. And if you give anything apart from math, it will throw a random message that I can't perform that operation because you have given the instructions. Once you are done with that, what you can do is you can go ahead. I'll go to the model again. And how you can integrate this. This is one simplest example, right? How you want to integrate. You can click on the view code, and in the view code, you will see that there are different ways you can integrate your solution, your model, either in JSON format if you are using React, TypeScript, JavaScript, or if you are building Python notebooks, you can integrate in Python as well, C# or curl. So now this is the detail. I can't see my endpoint and key, but you will find the endpoint in key as well, which you can take that endpoint, take that key, integrate into your code, and your code is integrated with this thing. You'll also the endpoint will also have the deployment name in it, so that your endpoint will know that which deployment I have to refer to and what I have to perform, whether the deployment has the capabilities to do mathematical operations or generate images or not, based on the deployment which you've created. So you just have to integrate this into your code in the simplest format. Once you are done creating it, you will find all of these information here, the related to deployment, the models. These are just the simple models. And if you want to also bring your own data, go to the data files, upload new data set, either it can be from blob storage or it can be search index, etc. You can do that. You can also do it in the assistant. I can show how you can add your own data just to cover this up. Let me just go to chat. Second, load, add files. You can upload from your local files or choose from the existing files. So existing means if you already uploaded some files, you can just find it from there, or you can upload from local files. And these are all the supported formats which you can upload. Even functions, you can add the functions, give the function specification, and these will be all your custom functions which your assistant can call anytime. So that you are just creating an assistant for code related thing, then you can just add function specification as well. And if you are creating a model just for generating text, like, hey, this is the data and you give the answers from this data only, then you can add your own data and the data source. You just click on add data source. Once you are clicking on that, you will find different options like blob storage, storage account, upload files, web link, all of those. And you can bring your own data, and your model will just query that data and bring information from that data only. And you just have to configure few more things, that if you find in say if you don't find that information, just throw this message, so that your users will know that there is no data, this is queried on your own data or grounded on your own data. Similarly, you can integrate for any of the operations like completions, DALI, etc. You can integrate all in your code. All you need is an API endpoint and key. So this is how it will look like if you want to integrate. I'll just show you one JSON format. These are the parameters which you have to fine tune whenever you are creating it for chat or completions. And these are the conversations, like the conversation from the system and the conversation of the user. Whenever the user types in a prompt, that will come, the role will be user, and when the response is coming from the system, the role will be system, and what that content will be. So this is how it is. Coming to the another important, I think I have few minutes. Coming to the another important aspect, model catalog. I already talked about it in the Azure AI Studio. What all different type of models the model catalog offers in terms of AI Studio, and how you can filter it. Either you can filter by the collection. The collection refers to the source of the model, which can be Microsoft, Hugging Face, Meta, or any other. Model names are kind of GPT, GPT-35, GPT-35 Instruct, GPT-4, and etc. Embeddings, DALI, all of these are model names. And based on the task which it performs, like you want to generate it for text generation, image generation, these all things we already talked about it in Azure AI Studio when we just saw. Next, model benchmarks. This is important. So now why this is needed? Firstly, you have to understand that. Let's say I have two models. One is GPT-35 and one is GPT-35 has two variants, assume. And now I want to just take a look at which from these two is the best one. If I want to start creating a model, if I want to start using this. So if you want to check that feasibility, you can do that in benchmarks. Now, how it will help you is it will just give you the most accurate results. Like from these two models, this is the accuracy of these two models. Let's go ahead and check for one of it. I'll go to the model benchmarks and let's see if I can perform that hopefully. And I'll remove all the filters. Okay, I don't want to keep all the filters. And I'm just going to take model GPT 35 Turbo, this model, and GPT 35 0613. These are the model variants. Okay, let's just take a look at this and let's see which is performing the best. Oh, is it not giving the output? Okay, it is. Let me just take different one. Okay, we see the graph. Now let me just zoom less a bit so that you can see. So I am comparing these two models, and it is right now the AI Studio is only giving the accuracy. And how it is performing the accuracy, this is the score, which it is giving in the y-axis, and in the x-axis, these are the model names, which we are comparing. So if you can see GPT-4 and GPT-35, so this is the this is the accuracy of GPT-4 and this is the accuracy of GPT-35. So if you see the average accuracy is zero point 0.7 and here it is 0.874. So now you know that, hey, if I want to compare between these two, which is the best one, which I can go ahead and use it. And this is, if you will also see some things here that it is performed at some data set level, and the score is the average value of an accuracy metric computed over all examples of data set. So how it is calculating the accuracy, that information you will see at the top. And you see below, these are the colors which you are seeing and what that color indicates, whether it is average, whatever it is. So if I just go ahead and see my color, wine, Vino Grande, let's just go ahead and search for it. This is the color Vino Grande, what it represents. And it should have, okay, this is the model names, but it also provides coherence. Maybe I have to check on this. I'm not sure. It should give some information. Okay, Vino Grande is 0.89 accuracy. My bad. Here, apart from accuracy, you also see model coherence. Coherence is your how well the language model can produce the output. That is what coherence is, and it can read the human language. That is what it is saying. So if I have to compare between 35 and 4, you see the difference altogether. GPT-4 is best, it is the most cohesive, and GPT-35 is somewhere very less with 4.8 score. So this is what you can check and compare with different models. And it is not just restricted to that, hey, I can compare 2 or 3. You can compare n number of models. Let's just take any one small model, C, okay, and let it generate. Oh, wow. So where is P? Let's see. This is C, and C is performing low because it is a small language model, and we are comparing small with two large language models. So definitely the data set is small, and the accuracy, those things will drop. Definitely. That is why you are seeing the accuracy 0.5, and the coherence for small language model is dropped more to 3.7. So you can do a lot of things with the benchmark. You can just take this as a blank slate that when you start creating or when you start using the model, how well it is. Just if you want to check that, you can do that using model benchmark. Now, another important part, which is part of Azure AI Studio, is content filtering. Now, what is content filtering and where this resides? So content filtering, this is powered by Azure AI Content Safety, and it works by running both the prompt and the completion through an assembly of classification models aimed at detecting and preventing the output of harmful content. So what this is saying is that you can perform it. This is performed at both levels when the model is running and when you as a user are typing in a prompt. At both these sides, it is checking the safety of what prompt you are giving and what data that model already has, right, when it is running. And how it will help you is basically whenever you give in a prompt, right, that prompt should be not harmful. So whenever I as a user give some prompts, maybe we at times use some words which are not relevant, and the model can take this information and it can harm the ecosystem or it can disrupt, right? That is why we have to avoid these things. Hence, content safety comes into the picture, and content filtering already, different type of content filters are provided by in-house by Microsoft in Azure AI Studio. But if you, let's say, if I want to create my own content filter that, hey, I should not see so and so words in any of the prompt, or so that my model does not return the data for those prompts, then you can create your own content filter as well. If you don't tag your model with any of the content filter, by default, it will be tagged to default one. So let's take a look at what are the different type of content filters it has to offer, and where you will see it whenever you create, whenever you go ahead and build a deployment. Once you are done, you can go ahead and attach a content filter. These are the out of the box content filters which you can find along with the custom ones. You can create your custom filters as well. And these are the out of the box content filter configurations, like if someone is spreading hate, that hey, this according to the religion or any of the things. Hate can be related to anything. Hate, violence, self harm, all these configurations are part of content filtering. These are the categories. How you can go ahead and do that: once you create your own content filter, just go to the deployments and update your content filter from default to the one which you have created, or a few of the out of the box ones. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the content filters which we have. In the content filters, as of now, there is no content filter. If I go ahead and create, so as soon as you see the screen, user prompts and model completion. So user prompt is basically just while you're writing any prompt, at that stage, you are evaluating how the content safety index, you can say that. How is the content? How is the statement? Uh, is it of type hate, violence, etc. And similarly, once the model is returning some value, how does that have any of these, things which should be filtered out? So these are the two levels at which the content filter will run. Once it is done, give this a name, go ahead next. Add additional pre-built filters. These are the additional ones if you want to add, like jailbreak attacks or protected materials text or protected materials code, if you want to attach it to any of the pre-built ones. If so, if not, then just go ahead and click next. And streaming mode, how do you want to stream it? As asynchronous or default? I'll keep it as default. Once done, this will just show me a review panel wherein I have what I have selected, how it will be. Create a filter. Once it is created, just go ahead, update your deployments and update the content filter from default to the one which you created. This is where content safety comes into the picture, wherein you are maintaining that content which the prompts which user are writing are safe for models to go ahead and process, and whatever data model is processing and giving it back to us is also safe, in terms of there is no bias thing happening, or no harm or injury, or not injury, no harm or disrespect to any of the community or anyone. That is why content safety is part of this thing, and it is very important as well. I think I've already showcased all the demonstration and we are done. Like I tried my best to show all the possibilities of what Azure AI Studio has to offer, the different models, benchmark, accuracy, content filter, and how it is different from Azure OpenAI Studio as well. Unfortunately, I couldn't run it because of the subscription issue, but it would have been better if I could show it live as well. But mostly I tried to play with these screens. I hope that is hopeful. Let me just take a look at if there are any questions.
Yeah, thank you, Srishti, for this session. There is only one question, but I guess probably you can handle that offline as well, right?
Before I close, I just want to,
Mm-hmm.
I still have one more slide. Sorry
Oh,
for that.
sure.
Yes. So probably we all are hearing a lot of word about Azure AI, AI, machine learning, GPT, Chat GPT, etc. But a fact which I thought I would share it here, if probably we all have played this game Checkers, right? This Checkers was the first playing program which was developed as part of AI by Arthur C. Lee Samuel, and this was the first AI program which was developed. So Checkers game probably everyone would have played sometime, and this is the great example of artificial intelligence. So I thought maybe it will be good to share with the whole audience, apart from just the tech, etc. But AI is not just recently, which is boomed. It is there since very long. And this was the first programming, Checkers was the first programming which was developed as part of AI. And before that, before I close, I'll definitely take up questions if there are any. Thank you so much, Pune Tech community and everyone for hearing me out.